Welcome to Makers. Welcome to the Joy Room. I'm going to hand things over to the people who are really on show tonight in just a second, but I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of you today. I'm Sean. I'm the events manager here at Makers, and it's just for me to say welcome to our office space. Welcome to kind of where we hang out. And I hope those of you who are visiting today just for a little bit got to see a bit of the spirit of what makes Makers special, not only the team, but also the alumni and of course the current students as well. I think you're in for a real treat with some of these presentations this evening. And yeah, welcome. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to hand over to John because I think you all got your briefing on health and safety when Hafsa saw you come in. But just as a heads up before I hand over to anybody, if there is an alarm, it is not a drill and the fire exit is right there. And that's my last bit of housekeeping. So, John, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Nice to see you all here. Some of you I know well. Some of you I've never met before. Nice to see all of you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John. I'm one of the coaches at Makers. And I've had the pleasure of working with this cohort over the last 16 weeks. Tonight, we're going to be showing the presentations of the projects that the March software development cohort have been working on over the last 2 weeks. It's been really impressive to see what they've built. I'm sure you'll all be as impressed as I am when you see the final products. Every single group here has worked really hard over the last 2 weeks, and all of you should be really proud of what you've achieved. Over the past 16 weeks, the developers that you'll be seeing tonight have gone from knowing almost nothing about code to being able to build projects that they want to build completely from scratch. It's been a really impressive journey. It's been really fantastic to see how close the cohort have become, how tight-knit they are now when they were strangers 16 weeks ago. They've been supporting each other every step of the way, and they've really risen to the challenge together, which has been just amazing to see. I'm really happy for all of you, and I hope you're all happy for yourselves as well. You should be really proud of what you've done. So I think without further ado, we should move on to the presentations. And after such an intense course, it's been a long 16 weeks. I'm sure most of you could probably use a holiday. To help you with that is our first group, Not Fast, Only Furious.
Hello, everyone. We're group Not Fast, Only Furious, which probably was a accurate representation of how we felt quite a bit of the time, but it's not what we decided to call our website. We thought it probably wouldn't be very appropriate. So we went with Fury Room, which is a travel recommendation website. We thought of this because we think that there's often a lack of inspiration when people are looking for holidays. There's also a lot of weather uncertainty, and you don't really know what the weather's going to be like when you're going away, and also an information overload. So with that comes our amazing website, and I'll hand over to George.
I'm just going to talk about our process going into this project. Because of the relatively short time frame we had to do a lot of research kind of whilst also building the app. We were consistently looking at new tech throughout the whole time and adopting it into our code, meaning we had to kind of have a flexible and communicative approach to our process. This was kind of helped by diagramming to help clarify and visualize our ideas, removing kind of abstraction from them, pairing to ensure that we were sharing knowledge of the code base, and regular meetings where we would like air ideas and report on our progress. Yeah. Now hand them to Ben for our texting.
Hi. So yeah, the technology was a bit of a difficult decision because like a lot of the previous project we'd worked on, it was already defined. So we had to kind of work out what we would need to use. We ended up going with a Python backend. It was the language that we were most familiar with because we'd spent the longest time with it. And it also has a lot of, it has a large library that is great for working with like data manipulation, which is something we thought would be super relevant for this. Moving on to the front end, we decided to go with React JavaScript. Again, it was the kind of library that we'd had the most experience with, and we were aware of how integratable it was with CSS, kind of HTML, can really get things to pop, get things to work together well. Moving on, we utilized the use of APIs, which is like these web services, almost like viral databases that we can pull information from, send queries to. It was quite difficult to decide which ones to use, and the decisions, we ended up using like 4. One of them was to get city data, country data, weather data, kind of like streamline the data back. And then we also integrated a kind of global map interactive thing that you'll see at the end, just to make the recommendation page a little bit more charismatic. Are you sure someone that?
It's me. Hello. So I'm going to talk about challenges that we faced. First of them will be connected to the things that Ben just talked about, which is APIs. And as he mentioned, we had to use like 3, 4 of them. And not only we had to use many of them, and we had to use them simultaneously. At the same time, sometimes we even had to get response from one API. And then we would send it to another one and get another one. So it was a bit of a mess. But to figure out how to work with it, we decided to use the thing that George mentioned, actually. We mapped out overall logic. We draw out the diagrams of the overall flow of our app. So that helped a lot. I think that's how we overcame this first challenge. Second one will be limited access to public servers. The same API things, because not all of them are free. There are a lot of them available, but all of them come with limits. Amount of times you can send requests to them too, the amount of times you can get data from them. Some of them even had like 1,000 data requests a day, which is not enough. Even though we had like 15,000 requests a day, we exceeded that amount like multiple times. So, and other way would be paying, which we weren't doing. So, to overcome this challenge, we decided to just divide it into parts. All of us just did a lot of research to find out which of them suited us the most. So, and we found out the ones that suited us. So it's all working now, hopefully. And the last one will be that at the very beginning, when we had our MVP, which would be the minimum amount of features. Thank you. Features. Thank you. We had a minimum amount of features on our app, but it was working. But after that, we had to add up more and more. It was getting like sturdier, and it would take like sometimes even a minute and a half to wait for a response, which is not good. It is not fast, only furious, right? And to fix that, we did refactoring, which means that we went through each file, we went through the logic of our app, we had to rewrite everything, which we did, and now it works as fast as in like 8 milliseconds, I think. So we did that. And Maria is going to show you how it works now. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanilla. Thanks, everyone. So I'm going to walk you through the demo of our travel recommendations app. It's based on the user preferences and also historical weather data. So this is the landing page of the app. We provide a short introduction to the app. The way it works is that the user goes through a series of questions, and then we take all the data, we process that, and we produce a list of city recommendations. So here how you start the quiz, and this is the first question that we ask the user, and it's about what continent they would like to visit. Here the user can make multiple selections. They can select stuff, deselect stuff. If they change their mind, they can also just proceed to the next step if they don't have a specific preference. And you can see that we provide adequate feedback when something has been selected, so it's evident to the user. And let's say now that I would like to go to North America and Oceania. And let's see what happens next. So our app is quite smart, and it's things are being calculated on the background, and we provide again adequate feedback to the user. And this is the second question. We're asking about when do you want to travel, and the user can select like a range of different dates here. Yeah, let's say that I have a lot of time. And go to the next question. This is the third and the last question, maybe the most important one. So it's about the weather. What weather would you prefer? There's different options here, from hot weather to very cold and snowy. When we did the demo yesterday, I have no strong preference for the weather. Looking back today, I would change my mind. I would go for hot weather. I think we all understand why. And we can generate the results. And again, things are being calculated in the background. Good things come to those who wait. And this is our recommendations page. And this is where we quite evidently show that our app is quite unique, because we do send people to places that no other app would ever send them. And yeah, our very smart app decided that sending the traveler to some random fields in the middle of nowhere is a good idea. And you can see on the side the information about the city, country, average temperature in the dates they've chosen. They can also book a hotel. So if they click on that link, we take them straight to booking.com, and we have pre-populated all the data we have for the user, like the city and the dates. And if we go back to the app, I like that I'm talking to the computer now. It's like, go back to the, yes. If you, for some reason, the user doesn't want to go to the random fields, which I don't know, yeah, I wouldn't think why not, they can go to the next recommendation. And that seems much better. And yes, this is our app, web app, Fury Roam. It's actually deployed, it's responsive. You can visit the web app using your mobile phone, your tablet. This is the link. Thank you very much. And most importantly, be furious.
Do we have any questions?
We'll do.
Sample was a free one. So
Oh yeah.
it needs to spin up. So the first person to use it will be great, but after that.
Yeah, I was meant to say this. I completely forgot. Just yeah, if you try to use it, then it takes some time. It's not us. We just left the free option. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Not fast, only furious. Flying on holiday, though, isn't the only way to experience the world. World cuisines can make it feel like you're traveling without ever leaving your kitchen. But what do you make? Here to tell us is Fridge Heroes.
Hi everyone, it's so nice to see you all here. So our app, Fridge Hero, is designed to help you save money, reduce food waste, and helps you with a meal plan. The app provides you categories where you can add items with the expiry date and suggests you taste recipes based on available ingredients. That's simplify the creation of meal plan. Listening all food in your fridge and keeping track of expiry dates helps you use all the food before it spoils, which helps to prevent wastage, and also it prevents you from buying duplicate of item you already have. That's further reducing waste and save you money. And Sam's gonna show you how our apps works. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hari. So a couple of caveats. First one is you're going to have to pay a lot of attention because John gave a brief of 2 minutes for the video. So I'm going to be talking really quickly as I go through the features. And also apologies to all my peers who have probably heard this demo a couple of times already. So I'm just going to play our video, am I? Oh no, I clicked the wrong link, didn't I? I actually clicked the app itself and not the video. There we go. All right, so first things first, the beautiful fridge with a cape here was actually designed by our very own Patrick, and you'll see an open fridge on the next page as well. We've got a sign up page here. You can see this user's struggling, putting in an email address that doesn't exist. So we've got some error handling here. Also going to use a really obvious password, which we're not going to allow. And now we're going to put in a real password and sign up. The next page, you'll see what a user sees when they first sign up. So it's a created fridge for them. And just like everyone else in this room, we've all got expired hot sauce and white miso paste that's probably never going to be used in our fridge. But they're easily removed, as we just saw. And here a user's adding some more things. You can add multiple items to your fridge at once. You choose from a few categories. You add the next one. No judgment here. If you forget that tomato is actually a fruit, you can put it in the vegetables category and we're not going to make fun of you. And even if you keep your eggs in the fridge, that's allowed on Fridge Hero. And we're going to show you what it looks like when you add an expired item. You can see we've got this warning at the bottom saying expired. Those items are red rather than black. And we've got some error handling here as well. This user's forgot to put a category in. They're putting in potatoes, and the browser's going to tell them they need to fill out all fields. And the eagle eye will notice that potatoes actually isn't spelt like that as well. So we're going to remove that too, because it looks awful on the list. And the user's also got their own profile, so they can update their username, their email address, and password. And apologize for the clip there, but again, the 2 minutes meant I had to clip the video a little bit here. So we also handle login too. So this is the same user logging back in. You can see they've still got tomatoes and chicken in their fridge. And this is the real money maker here. They click this button and now we have a public API linked to show them recipes with the items that they have in their fridge. So they know what to cook with what they've got. Another caveat, these aren't our recipes. Like I say, it's a public API. So whether a chicken enchilada casserole exists or not is nothing to do with us. Thanks for watching.
I'm going to talk about the technology we used. So we wanted to use a combination of more and less familiar technology. So that gave us a chance to learn new things. But also we wanted to be driven by what actually made sense for the app. So the bits we needed were a database to store the user data and what's in their fridges, a backend that handles that data and does some invisible work, a front end that the user could interact with. We also needed a third-party API to supply the recipes because we weren't going to write them out ourselves. And we decided to deploy it. So as you can see here, you can go and start using this if you want. Don't use your own email address because I can't guarantee the safety of it, but you can use it. For the database, we decided that was somewhere we're going to try something new. So we used Mongo, which is something we weren't really familiar with, which is nice because it's sort of more like a tree or a load of boxes with more boxes inside instead of a big spreadsheet. And that made a lot of sense for this app. And for the back end, we use Python, which we're familiar with, but we used a new framework that we hadn't used called Django, which was a bit different to what we knew. So an app framework is like the wires and pipes in a house that kind of move everything around. And this one was just kind of wired differently. So it doesn't do any of the special unique work to this app, but it was still essential and we had to learn how to use it. And that was probably where we had most of our initial kind of tech issues, was getting used to that, but it was really rewarding to learn something new. For the front end, we use React, which is like very user-friendly. And when it works well, it seems super quick. And I think we got that just about and looks nice. And then the API on the back end, the public API, that was very temperamental, but really rewarding to get that final feature in there and connect it up. And then deployment is cool because it sort of puts a little bow on everything that you can go and use it. And it also exposes you to learning loads of new sides of things that are different to if you just work in a local kind of development environment around authorization and security and stuff that you've got to keep in mind. So that was the whole tech side of things. I've got that.
Oh, microphones are always daunting. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit about maybe process and ideation of our app. I won't try to go into really technical things because some of you might look at this and kind of wonder, what is he saying? I think we tried to apply kind of like many of the tools we sort of picked up in the boot camp, like having team charters, using kind of like Trello to keep track of all of our tickets and our progress as we went through the app. Early on, right at the beginning, we kind of started using a tool called Figma just to really visualize kind of what we want the user journey to be like in our app. And what we want a user to do, and also kind of to have a bit of a think about what we want the final app to kind of like look like. And because one of our early like kind of maybe stretch goals, which gladly we managed to put together, was that we would want this to be a live tool. Obviously the ideal, right, with trying to save the things in your fridge is that you want to actually be able to do that. So we're glad that we've got a tool people can use. We realized that as part of that, like we might be having copyright issues. And the flip side of it is we want to kind of own as much of our IP as possible. So kind of like we mentioned, Patrick was kind of kind enough to sort of like go and create some of this custom artwork that we're sporting with the magical kind of like fridge with a cape that you're seeing. However, on the downside, I will say as much ideation kind of as we would have wanted to try to do and as much control as we would have wanted to have over like our IP and everything, we did not have any say or any idea or any control over some of the pictures that come back with our recipe. So hopefully that does not put you off from trying to use the things that were in your fridge that you're trying to save. So yeah, please go and visit and start becoming the hero of your fridges at home. I'm going to hand it over to Kevin.
Yeah, I would just like to really encourage everyone to use our app. As you know, it's live on fridgehero.onrender.com. And I would like to say a few words about the future and the potential of our app. Because we would like to keep working on it, improving it, and adding some new features. So in the future, we hope to make sure that the recipes are sorted based on the expiry date of your items in the fridge. So the recipes that you will receive are going to be prioritized based on the ingredients that are about to expire first. We would also like to separate the ingredients list so that the ones that you're missing in order to make a certain dish are going to be highlighted for you. And finally, we would like users to be able to have multiple fridges, which could become a very useful tool for restaurants and other businesses to manage their stock and expiry dates. So that's all. That's the future of our app. And yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Have we got any questions from the audience? Just put your hand up if you want the microphone.
So yeah, we learned as we went, as we were creating things, we were learning in the process. Yeah.
Thank you, Fridge Heroes. I've been wondering whether knowing what's in your users' fridges is valuable information. Seems like it could be quite interesting data, but I can also imagine people don't really know what's in their fridges. They might not always fill it out. There might be some bits of data missing. If only there was some way to help with this problem. To guide us through the world of big data, please welcome Maria.
Great. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Maria and I aim to become a data science one day. So I choose to work on one of the 5 top problems that a data analyst faces, which is how to deal with missing data. And so just to show you how bad missing data can be in the real world, I'm going to give you an example. So imagine that you are planning this beautiful trip with your partner, and you know that you're going to be 24/7 with this person. So you want to make your toilet experience the less noisy and smelly as possible. So you start recording yourself, like what did I eat today, the amount of water that I drink, how many fruits did I have, in order to be ready and prepare for it. So one day you just forgot to do it. And that was exactly the same day that you decide to have kebab at 3 a.m. and drink a lot. So probably if you just take that piece of information from your month of recording, you might believe that having a kebab at 1 a.m. is going to be a good idea and anything bad is going to happen. But that's definitely not the case. So what you usually do in the data analysis world is come with an average. So for example, you usually have 5 pieces of vegetable and fruits per day, and you forgot to fill that part of the form. You just put the average or take the minimal. So one day I only drink 1 cup of glass of water, so I'm going to put that. But that can be very misleading, especially if you're dealing with important information, like trying to find the causality of cancer, for example, in a mouse population. So what is recommended to do is use a model, a different model than the one that you are using for analyze your data. Why it has to be a different model? Because if you make the recipe and then you taste the recipe and say, it's the best dish that I ever tried, is cheating. Like you're lying to yourself. So you have to use a different model, and it can be very challenging. What model should I use? Because you have to understand your data, you have to understand the methodology, you have to understand the process and all the mathematical conditions that are behind it. Thankfully for us, machine learning exists now, and the computers, even small ones like this one, can deal with a lot of computation and make it very easy for us. So that's what I did here. I use a deep networking analysis method to deal with missing data, so you are able to be ready for your next trip. So let's see how the app works. Okay, so this is how the page looks like. We're able to see here a small definition of what the model is and how it works with the references that I use to build the model. I also include this very nice article that makes a comparison between this method and other deep neural networks analysis. And you can see a very beautiful fluffy caterpillar here, which shows you how well the model is doing by plotting the distance between the predicted value and the actual value. So in every iteration, the noise and the fluffiness gets like in this like action shape and distance shape, like the distance becomes smaller. So that means that your model is doing very, very well, something that you aim to see. So let's go back, and I also add the considerations of the method. So if you are planning to use this page for something else that is not finding missing values in your data, it's not going to work. And also your type of data has to be a time series. That means that your data has to change through the pass of time. You can use any kind of data, yes, but the results not going to be reliable or something that you should rely on. And I also add the technical justifications of why I consider this method to be especially useful to deal with many type of different data sets. So let's see how it works. So it allows you to choose a file. I'm going to choose Gini. Let me show you how Gini looks like. So it shows you 76 countries from 1998 to 2008 and the Gini values. So we have a lot of missing data here, and we want to predict them. So I'll go back to our page, select the file, and upload the dataset and predict. So Let's see how the model starts working. This is the box running. So the data set is being passed through the model to make it smarter. And here we can see the plot of the predicted value versus the actual value, how well the model is doing. And it shows you a preview of the data set. So now all the files are being pulled. And you can also download the predictions. So you can have your full file to make any kind of analysis that you would like to make with this data set. So let's see another example. Let's go back, and now I'm going to choose GDP file. It's also a very common data set and encounter. So let's see how the model is doing. We can change the box if we are dealing with different data sets. Like this data set is especially full, like it's average size. So 50 box are very well for them, but it would be very nice to implement the option to change that in order to work with less data or more data. And so here in the graph, we can see, for example, how the predicted value for Argentina is the red spot, the red line, sorry, and the green line is the actual value. So we can see our model becoming smarter as time passes by. And we can also download the prediction. So two things that I want to implement more on in this model is the option that you can choose which countries should be displayed in the plot here. And also that you can see the training progress that your model is doing. So you can see these floppy cat figures working, but in the page. Unfortunately, didn't have enough time to do it, but it's something that I'm gonna keep working on. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Hello. So, I don't know if this is the same for other people in the room, but I didn't. There's a lot of things in your model that I didn't really understand. But just so I'm clear, right? Is it basically you've got a data set for a period of time, and for the missing pieces, you use the data set to calculate some sort of average, and then it takes that missing to predict what it would have been. So if you, in your situation where there's this person who tracks what they eat, when they have that kebab, they don't put it in, they would have been like, well, there's is that okay?
So almost. I did forgot to explain that. So thank you very much for bringing the question, because I would like to explain more in detail. So no, like actually what the model is doing is using the neural network process that we as human beings use, which is you've been in that situation before. So your brain sees, oh, this is a problem. What happened before? And like try to analyze how you deal with that in the past and the outcomes that you get from it, and makes the smarter decision to get you the better outcome. So for example, if you previous had maybe not at kebab at 3 a.m., but you had a pizza at 3 a.m., your brain is like, oh, we actually have diarrhea next day. So it's likely that that's gonna happen. So the model is giving you that memory storage to to keep you informed into the decision and prediction. So it's much smarter than the average, and it's well smarter than a like lasso optimization process. That's something that a lot of data science use, and yeah.
Obviously, I'm new to all this. Why did you use that analogy?
Because I'm doing a trip very soon with my partner. Yeah, something that concerns me a bit. Yeah. I think she has. Yeah.
Yeah, so hello. Hi. Oh, that was weird. You kind of gave the example of like you said personally based on neural networks, it's gonna come up with a more appropriate kind of data set than the average. So I don't really understand how that works if it's like a completely original data set that maybe you didn't fill in. It's just like someone else's data set that you're looking at, you're reviewing. Then at that point, what are you basing like the new, how is the neural network going to kind of calculate the new data? I don't know if that I explained that well, but
Yeah, I think you did. So there are two problems that you can face there. The first one is that you don't want to add something that is not in your data set. So for example, like GDP of Argentina, that can be something very difficult to predict. So if you are trying to use an average, like because of the trends that Argentina usually follows, it's gonna be wrong. And also you don't want to add something that is external, like you have the bias that Argentina is a country that behaves poorly economically, so I'm gonna put lower data. That's not gonna give you a good analysis. That's not gonna give you an understanding of how reality works. So networking, what is doing is in every time it creates an epoch, it gives you a new prediction. So it compares the previous prediction with the new iteration and the actual value if you have it, and it's trying to minimize, the epsilon optimization process between one value and the other. So
could it technically make a new row then without there being, it just could make a new row from scratch?
yeah, actually that's what it's doing.
Right, okay.
So it's basically getting all the data set again from the beginning, and it's comparing it every time, because that's how the model can make sure that it's actually doing well. So if you only aim to predict the missing values, it's like, oh, very good for you. But you're trying to see how are you able to predict values that you actually have in order to compare the distance and difference that you have between them to see if the overall prediction is good or not.
Are there any scenarios where it would be better to just remove the row that's missing data?
That's something more ideological about what a data analyst should do. Because, for example, if you want to say that your company is doing very well in order to have great investments that year, so you might remove the years that your company is performing poorly. And that's not something that you should do if you're aiming to be a great data science that predicts reality, but happens in the real world a lot.
Cool, thank you. I probably should have just had the conversation with you afterwards.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. As Maria's demonstrated, predicting missing values and approximate values can be incredibly powerful. But for our next group, you're going to need to be more exact. Please welcome Team Quizzical.
Perfect. Guys, thank you very much for coming. This is the time to get quizzical. So this is the name we decided to give to our project. We decided to kind of change a bit of what we have been doing from the projects, right? The projects are really social oriented. So you upload the picture, you create a profile, you post something. So it's really related to you and to the user. So we decided to make a shift and to try to create a game. So that was our idea. Try something that we hadn't tried until now. I would love to tell you that quizzical comes from musical, and quiz actually is just a word that exists already. I wasn't aware of that. I'm not from around here. Then the idea, Jason had this idea of actually metalheads could compete against each other by guessing who's the artist on this particular song. What we thought, and especially me because metal is dead, is that it would be really limited for the spectrum that we would like actually to reach. So we decided to dress it with more genres, and I think everyone could actually play this game. Even if you want to be a bit of a metalhead, you can actually try it. So I'll let Bobby explain what were the main challenges that we faced after we decided that this was our idea.
Yeah, so at first we started to research how we would get the music, and we tried different music apps for that, which was Spotify, Shazam, Deezer. In the end, Deezer actually worked until it didn't, and then the issue was with how we were calling the Deezer API. So that's us being like, "Do you even API, bro?" And then so another challenge we had was time versus features. I think this is an issue with all the projects. It's 2 weeks. So it's how much you can implement in those 2 weeks. So it was a lot of planning. Last one was like none of us had actually ever built a game. So it was, can we even build it? Mr. Bob the Builder said. So again, yeah, a lot of planning, and spoiler alert, we did build it. Rachel's going to be talking about the plan.
So we started off our planning process by doing some research into different types of games and quiz games and exactly how we wanted our quiz game to work and what we wanted it to look like. We then used Excalibur to diagram out the process of how we might retrieve the information we needed from the Deezer service, how we can store any user information in a database, and how we could pull this through to the front end and finally be able to display it to the user. We then created some mock-ups of how the game would look like and the user journey through the different screens and elements of the games from the homepage through to a results page. This helped us to create our ticketing system. So we started off in our planning process through ticketing and making a backlog for all the features that we thought we might want to work through in our project. We then considered those that we thought were most important to achieve the sort of minimum viable product we wanted to create, which essentially was to be able to retrieve information from Deezer, show some potential answers and be able to click on the correct answer. We then prioritized our backlog for the features we wanted to focus on first, and created ticket sizes based on how complex we thought each feature would be, which helps us to decide how to allocate our resources appropriately and to better understand what will be achievable in our remaining timeframes. I'll now hand over to Akash to discuss some of the challenges we faced.
So we ran into a few problems once we got started. One of the main ones was when the app was deployed. So the issue was that the Deezer service, it forbids requests from a free version of a host. We were using Render for hosting, but it's basically forbidden if you're using a free version. So we just threw money at the problem and that fixed it. The time is always a concern and always a challenge in short, 2-week projects like this. One of the big things I think we were smart about were making decisions about which features have to be scaled back and can't go in because of the lack of time. In terms of the tech side, React was something we are sort of less familiar with, and also it behaves very strangely. It is reactive, but sometimes it can be too reactive. So we had to put some effort into overcome those challenges. We took help from the coaches and online resources for that. I would say styling was a similar story. So we were learning a new technology called Tailwind for doing the designing. And again, just resources online was the best way you could get help, and coaches, of course. I'll give you over to Katrina, talk about learning.
Hello. So, yes, I'm talking about learnings. And we learned that planning was key. Early on in the project, we agreed that our focus would be on code quality. We set out a process for submitting code approvals and guidelines for how to review each other's code. We also made sure that 2 people had to approve someone's code. Another factor in code quality was ensuring a high amount of testing. As you can see, Bobby tired of testing in the corner there. And we also set up a process that ensured all tests passed before the code could be approved. And this made everything run really smoothly. And we deployed. So, well, as we mentioned, we threw money and we deployed. So it's quizzical.onrender.com. And we just wanted to show here like what the difference was between the first iteration, which was like Friday last week, to what it looks like now. And I'm going to hand you over to Jason for the demo.
Cool. Hello, everyone. So this is a live demo. I'm actually going to use you guys to actually demo the products because it's a lovely game. So on the homepage, you have the ability to play as guests. You can go through the game, ditch to the end page, but you don't actually, next time you revisit it, everything's gone. Or you can actually sign in with Google, and we're going to use that option. So, you can sign in like normal. And then, if you've logged in, you have the log out button in the top left, and on where this lovely Slack thing's doing is an actual icon of your user left. But anyway, anyone select a genre? Anything? Oh, hey. I don't want to get a perfect score, right? So let someone else. And I don't think anyone else. Come on, guys. Darts. There we go. John, I'm looking at you for the answers then, okay? So you get to choose your genre, and then you have 2 difficulties. So casual mode is guessing the artist or the song title, and then expert mode makes it a bit more jazzy here. So you can choose the release year and also the album it comes from. Good luck getting a perfect score on that one. But casual mode. So we have 5 questions you go from. Tells you the score and your speed bonuses. So right now you won't get speed bonus because we took longer than 5 seconds. But if you answer the question rightly in 5 seconds, you get a lovely speed bonus. And then our questions will actually highlight if you're right or wrong. We won't tell you if you're wrong. Well, if you're wrong, we won't tell you what the right answer is. So it makes a bit of difficulty there. So you have the ability to press the button, and it's a nice throbbing red button there. Yeah, I said it. Yep.
Love is in the past life.
Wow, that was a one kiss, was that? Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, you got it right. Hey.
I think maybe Ryan, you should be doing this.
Yeah, the sound is not so great on this.
TMO.
Who? You can pause it, which is great. So, what was it?
TMO.
This one. Oh my God. Okay, this is very. Please don't get a perfect score, by the way. Yep.
The problem is Zoom, yeah. Ray.
Yes. I am rooting for you to win this, by the way. This is the expert mode, by the way.
Wish you well. Nah.
It's all right. It's okay. Don't worry. One day.
Anyone? Kevin Harris, let's go.
There we go. Hey. So, you get taken to a results page. It tells you your round score. If you got a perfect bonus for the perfect score, speed bonus, your score there. And then we have a nice little leaderboard. So you get added to that if you are a logged in user. If you're not, boo. And then we also have these nice little rankings at the bottom. So you can do better 2-stepper. And these are specific to the genre you're choosing. So like I said, you can log out. It takes you back to the homepage. And if you play through as guests, it's the same experience. But one of the things we want to highlight is that we actually have nice little backgrounds depending on the, actually that's not right. Let's do that again because that was the same genre. Metal, here we go. Yeah. See, nice different backgrounds. Yeah, everyone gives the rock ones. Yeah. Yeah, let's just see if it. Yeah, it's a good thing it's not working anyway. But yeah, the only difference is there's the log out and all sorts. But thank you for playing our game.
Any questions?
Got one.
I am curious because I believe you're using the API. I'm just wondering where you're actually pulling the music from.
So yeah, Deezer's API allows you to have a 30-second track preview, which is what we're utilizing. Yeah, that's it. We were lucky in that because there's no other APIs we had for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Team Quizzical. So instead of asking you questions about what you know, our next team wants you to ask them questions about what you don't know. So please welcome the mysterious Team Tarot.
So yeah, from data modeling to heavy metal to the mystical world of tarot. Hi everyone, I'm Ollie and I'm part of Team Tarot. We are so excited to introduce you to Cassandra. Who is Cassandra? Cassandra is an AI-powered tarot card reading application. You tell her your name and whatever you want a reading on, and she will provide a personalized reading and interpretation for you. So to kick off, we are 6 backend developers. We had 2 weeks to build Cassandra from scratch. And to do this, we used the language Go for the backend, and we used SvelteKit, a JavaScript framework for the front end. So far, we have 80% plus test coverage, although because Cassandra is AI powered, there's a lot of random generation in there, which is a little bit tricky from a testing perspective. At the start of the project, we had quite a few ideas of what we could build. So why did we settle on Cassandra? Mainly because Cassandra aligned well with our goals for this project. So firstly, we really wanted to build something quite original that didn't have a widely known equivalent in the real world. Secondly, we wanted the challenge of learning front-end development from scratch. As I said, we're a Golang team, and most of us had never touched JavaScript or front-end technologies before. And in particular, finally, we wanted to try integrating an LLM-based API into our product. So that stands for large language models, like a chatbot-based API. And so with all of that in mind, Cassandra was the perfect fit for us. And I'll now hand over to Farah to share more about the team working practices.
So I'll be talking about how we work together as a team, and we had daily stand-ups, midday meetings and retros, and this allowed us to monitor and reflect on our progress throughout the day. We also worked in pairs for most of the time and reviewed our code together. We did some independent research into different front-end technologies, which Matt will tell you a bit more about now.
Oh, no. Oh, no, wait, I went back. Wait. Sorry, good start. Essentially, so like as was mentioned, we were like purely a back-end team, mostly because during the Maker's experience, we chose to do Golang. So in that in mind, we wanted to try something to find something that was really easy to use, readable, and had a load of resources. So that's why we chose SvelteKit. From that, like it had loads of great docs we could use. There was loads of video tutorials, and we tried to use AI as like efficiently as we could for our learning. And then in that, like the challenges that came up were quite minimal, really, in the sense that we were always making sure that we're avoiding knowledge silos by keeping each other updated by like what we'd learned that day and how we were implementing it within the Svelte kit. And really the major problem that we had with the front end was the visuals, which is what Dom will speak about right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Hello, everybody. So some pills about, what did I do? Visuals. The initial draft of our web app started with static visualization of elements. We mainly ensured the accurate display of backend data across all various pages. We introduced dynamic animations only in the second part of the project, starting with simple designs and then gradually increasing complexity. You can see here a little preview of the devil card, which is not a good card to draw. And the card flip effect, as you can see, and the over animations were definitely the most challenging ones. They required quite a lot of conditionals to handle the user interaction correctly. And in contrast, the typewriter and fade effects, which you can't see here yet, but you'll see in a bit, have quite straightforward implementations. Deployment was presented some visuals challenges with initial difficulties loading images and animation properly. However, we now have a fully functional live version that is available online, so you can go this weekend and have your readings done. We may or may not keep track of your deepest fears. And now on to Alana, which will discuss API and AI implementations.
So for our project, we used two different APIs. We had a tarot card reader, which just picked tarot cards at random. And we also implemented an AI API to interpret our readings. In order to do that, so the reason we took the approach of getting the external tarot card reader was so we could maintain control over the way that we picked our cards. It allowed us to show more complexity in our backend, and it just overall gave us like more practice in building those backend structures. In terms of implementation, it was actually really simple. We used Go services, which connects to the external API. In terms of what we spent more time doing, it was refining that prompt for ChatGPT for their OpenAI service so that we could make it sound as human as possible. We also had a challenge in finding a free API service for that AI. We couldn't. And so we did spend some money on that. It cost $5. And we still have over $4 left. So it was actually very affordable. The other issue that we had there was in terms of, well, so as I said, we spent 2 weeks refining the prompt, making it sound as human as possible to stop it bringing back data that we didn't ask for. At one point, we did get a reading from the Tarot Mermaid, which nobody requested. And our last problem was in response delay. Initially, we were having everything go back in one large call, which was taking 5 to 10 seconds and would delay the user. So we had to think about a way to resolve that, which is what Josh is going to talk to you about now.
Thank you, Alana. So there we go. When mapping out our back-end and our front-end interactions, it became apparent that we needed a chain of requests to other sources, as mentioned, but they were all linked to one main request that we made. And this single large request would return all the cards we needed, as well as the AI reading based on the cards themselves and the user story that was given to us, so that all information was ready to present on the final page. However, as Alana mentioned, when setting up the AI API, we realized that the response would take some time to come back, like 5 to 10 seconds. And this would cause us problems as we didn't want to have to wait that length of time to receive all of the information tied together, because obviously we couldn't show anything at that point. So we toyed with the idea of a few different solutions, like delaying the user through style and design, sort of putting blocks up so that they couldn't get to the end before the information was ready. Didn't think that was a good idea. So we knew we'd need some sort of concurrency in making things happen alongside each other. And luckily, Go, the language we used, has something called Go routines, which basically allows you to run several segments of code alongside each other efficiently and concurrently. So once those 3 cards are fetched, the response body is returned, we get the 3 cards back almost instantly. But the request handler continues to run that Go routine in the background to fetch the AI response. And once that's received, it puts it into a little container for us to go back and fetch later on in the page to render on the exact same page the 3 cards. But yeah, enough about everything we struggled with. Ollie's going to actually show us Cassandra.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, it wouldn't be complete without seeing Cassandra in action. As we know, before we do that cheeky plug, it's deployed. We deployed our application. So yeah, you can absolutely, as Don mentioned, go and get your tarot cards read after this. But as we all know, tarot is a spectator sport. So could I have a volunteer? Yeah, no, well, you can if you like. Yeah, you're very welcome to come up. Give her a hand. Thank you. So you're gonna experience the wonder of Cassandra. And go. I don't think so. I don't think so. So I'm going to do a dramatic reading of Cassandra. I've been expecting you, Seeker. My name is Cassandra. What is yours? Button, by the way. Follow Cassandra. Welcome, Reaver. I can sense hope and fear within yourself. Let me guide you through the land where fate, fortune, and destiny intertwine. In order to do this, we will draw 3 cards representing past, present, and future. But now, tell me, what has been tormenting you? What's a question? What's something you'd like some guidance on in your life?
In general.
Life in general? Okay. A bit more specific for Cassandra. Okay. Something to do with work life. Okay. So maybe something like, am I going to be happy in my next role? Something like that. Okay. Okay. When I start my new role, I'm just going to say that. Will I be happy? Okay. And so now, with another gorgeous button click, we're going to enter the parlor. If you wouldn't mind just actually stepping this side. So what we can see, once we've entered the parlor, almost instantly, we have our deck coming through there, and we've got, with a click, 3 cards. So this is touching on what Josh mentioned earlier. So instantly we get those 3 cards back. As we speak, those Go routines are working over time, and they're getting us the AI-powered interpretation. And so you will see that very shortly. But for now, we're going to see some of the beautiful styling that Don was speaking about to flip those cards. So with the past, we've got the 7 of Pentacles. The present, we've got the Page of Cups. And with the future, we've got the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, a lot of Pentacles. And if you hover over each card, you'll see a lovely effect that we've spent really long trying to put in there, but it works, where we add the meaning. So we add a little bit of detail about that card. So I won't go through all of it, but a description of what that card kind of means in general terms before it gets applied to you and your destiny. And then if you hover off that card, then you get back to the original image. But without further ado, let's ask Cassandra for that reading. And oh, she has been doing a shift in the background. Yeah. She's got, I might not do all of this, but we will get kicked out eventually. You have drawn the 7 of Pentacles for your past, the Page of Cups for your present, and the Knight of Pentacles for your future. These cards represent the energy and influence of these time periods in your life. In the past, you were in a stage of patient growth and hard work, as depicted by the 7 of Pentacles. You were investing time and effort into something. I mean, yeah, perhaps a job or a project. While it may have been slow progress, you were dedicated and committed to seeing it through. Currently, you're in a more emotionally charged phase, represented by the Page of Cups. This card suggests that you are open to new experiences and following your heart. You may be exploring different creative outlets or pursuing a new love interest. Okay.
That's not good.
Yeah. We've got all night. Trust your intuition and listen to your emotions during this time. Moving into the future, the Knight of Pentacles reveals that you will enter a period of stability and practicality back into that work life. This could be related to your question about your new role. This card suggests that you will find satisfaction and fulfillment in your new endeavors, as the Knight of Pentacles is a hard worker and values responsibility. Amazing. Overall, these cards, I'm almost done. Overall, these cards indicate that you are on a positive path and will find happiness in your new role. Trust in your hard work and intuition, and remember to stay grounded and focused on your goals. Best of luck with your journey, Reva. Yeah. And just before we wrap up, I'm gonna try to. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight that Cassandra is available for all readings, work related or otherwise. Check her out on cassandratarot.onrender.com. Thank you so much, everybody.
Fantastic. I don't think we've got time for reading questions. Yeah.
I have two questions. As 6 back-end developers, what was your biggest challenge when it comes to design and front end?
Well, the first one was trying to understand which language to use and framework, because we had no clue. We didn't do React as other of our peers did. And we decided, as Matt mentioned earlier, to go with Svelte because it was at a very not steep learning curve. So so definitely the learning there was allowed us to go a bit faster. We got the grip of it eventually. So in the second week, we managed to get things faster, but there were a couple of commits there done at 2 a.m. So I think the extra work kind of also helped a bit. If anyone else wants to add something?
Okay, my other question. You might not like this one as much because I know I didn't like doing it. How much testing did you get done for the front end?
I guess I'll take that as well. So we started testing the front end in our MVP, so in the initial product, and then all our visual changed and all those testing started to fail. So we had to rewrite all of them. But between the start of the testing and then we went back on it, I completely forgot how to set up testing. So we spent another half a day in the morning to manage VTest, which is what we used. But in the end, we got to have at least the first 2 pages completely tested, and then we started testing the third page, which is a bit more dynamic, so a bit harder to test. But it was not fun. No.
What else? Yeah. You guys are making me work tonight.
It's a really good question, and we did toy with, like, we thought about date of birth and other information. Overall, for the product that we made in the last 2 weeks, we wanted to really focus on the tarot cards. Tarot actually doesn't use a lot of that information a lot of the time. You can add elements onto it. There are other areas that do it, star signs and those sorts of things, astrology. But tarot is just about the cards that you get and the question that you ask. And so we really focus in on that. Obviously, over time, we would love to, like, expand it if we got the opportunity. But yeah, that's what we focused on for this time. We felt that the question and the name was enough for us in terms of personalization, and probably enough for OpenAI to handle, along with everything else we told it to do and not do.
Thank you, Team Tarot. And actually, I think we should have another round of applause for all of the teams that presented today. All really fantastic project. I said it a few times today already, but I really mean it. You should all be really proud of what you've achieved over the last 2 weeks and over the last 16 weeks for that matter. It's been really impressive. It's a tough course and you've all done amazingly to get through it. It's also been an absolute pleasure getting to know you all and working with you all over the last 16 weeks. Once a maker, always a maker. So please do come back and visit. You're always welcome. And I really can't wait to see what you do and make next. I'm really excited for you, and I think you should be too. It's an exciting time. It's been a long journey, so this weekend, make sure to celebrate and rest up in equal measure. And I think that's about it. Thank you once again to the March Software Development Specialism.